Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, disruptors, and creators who are breaking through the status quo of business as usual. My name is Tyler Kelly. I'm the co-host of Innovation City, and today we're coming to you from the Slam Agency Library with a very special episode of Innovation City. So for the last few weeks, we've been counting down our top 20 episodes of all time, the top 20 interviews of all time. And this week, we're coming at you with number 14, featuring Allison, Babka, and Broughton of the STLMade movement. The STLMade movement is a movement that is highlighting the positive things that are happening in St. Louis. And we can thank Allison and Lee and the people behind the STLMade movement for telling these positive stories. Now in this clip, they talk about finding your why and then taking that why and telling your story. Check it out.
The rest of the world, if you will, is like St. Louis is perceived in a certain way. So what are you guys doing to kind of change that global perception of the city?
Well, it's really interesting because the research that we have has found that people just are kind of neutral on St. Louis. They don't think of it as bad or particularly awesome, just, oh, it's there, it's a great city, fine. We're trying to target the folks in our own backyard. What we're finding is that St. Louisans don't actually know what's happening here, about all the great innovation that's happening here. And those are the kind of sparks that we want to happen. We want to help people become torchbearers. Once they understand, once they can see, once they can get involved, they're going to want to spread the word.
That's awesome.
So talk a little bit more about narrative and really storytelling and why that narrative is so important for people.
Yeah, great. Well, I mean, first of all, I think the what better way to connect with each other than through storytelling, right? There is a whole idea that after shelter, companionship, really all we need is stories. So one of the first things we really wanted to do was spend a bit of time understanding the research, as Allison pointed out, which was that essentially there really isn't that much of a perception of St. Louis outside of St. Louis. But inside of St. Louis, we're a little less convinced about what we have. And a part of that is we are sort of tending to live in micro communities. So in my micro community, I might feel very energetic and feel very inspired by my neighborhood. But I don't really see that energy and that kind of excitement as something that is shared by my neighbor in another neighborhood. One of the things we want to do through storytelling is demonstrate how individuals are really all torchbearers, exactly as Allison said, in the work they're doing that is moving our region forward today. So it's going to be amplifying the things that are being done by the people versus just talking about the critical mass that there might be here or the facts that are representing attributes. Very difficult to tell stories with facts and figures, much more able to kind of connect when you start thinking about the people that are doing them. So really the STL.com, which Allison is the editor-in-chief of, will really become the house in which those stories are told about the people that live here.
I'm a journalist by trade, and I've weaved in and out of media and marketing and agency life for 20 years. Storytelling is always at the heart of what I do. My favorite thing to do is literally what we're doing now. It's feature stories. I love digging into the human aspect and, like you said, finding that spark. I want to find somebody's why and bring that out because then somebody else will connect to it. That's the feeling that gives me goosebumps. If you have that spark inside you that compels you to tell stories or to share stories or to just ask somebody what the hell they're about, just do it. I mean, you can't get anything better than that. Like, that is like my life stream. I can't imagine doing anything else, literally anything else. And to find something, I mean, like this movement, to apply it to that, this is like a dream come true. I mean, it really is. I probably am sounding like I'm blowing smoke up everybody's houses, but like, this is amazing to be able to find people who are legitimately moving this region forward and caring about other people, caring about those spaces, those negative spaces. It just blows my mind every day.
How about you?
I mean, I think that to the listeners, if they want to get into storytelling, then the first thing is, in my opinion, is discover your own story, because you have one and you're projecting it whether you are doing that consciously or not. And I think that part of the social media movement in many respects does that in spades. And I wonder how consciously we are aware of the story we are telling. And I think that's something that is, kind of quite deep and powerful. If you want to get into the kind of perception forming space as a career, or if you're a startup and that is something that you need to kind of shape, I think part of the exercise really is having an understanding of the why you are doing what it is you're doing. My personal belief is that a brand strategist is a why person first and a who person second, and the what and the how don't really matter. You've got finance people and operators for the what and the how, but the why and the who is the area of real kind of backbone that shouldn't ever stray.
That was Allison and Lee from the STL movement, which you can find online at thestl.com. Now, if you're listening on a podcast network, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Every time you do that, you help us to reach more listeners. And a big thank you to Venture Cafe Miami, Venture Cafe St. Louis. These are the organizations that we partner with to bring you Innovation City. We couldn't do it without them. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win.